Before we get started on the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell right here so you can get all my future notifications. In just a minute, we're going to go over the flood coat, but I don't have my table in here. I'm going to come set it in here in a minute. Now, I use plastic visqueen. I lay that out. That way, whatever drips onto the visqueen, you just peel it right off. It comes right off. After it dries, of course. Don't do it until it dries thoroughly. Then you can just peel it off everywhere it sticks on there. It comes right off the paper. So you can use this over and over again. Now when you do your seal coat, you use 1 ounce per square foot. And I just take a little squeegee right here, pour it on, and I'll just roll it all the way around, make sure I cover everything. You don't have to have a thick layer, it's going to be very thin. Just cover everything. And then on the edges, I take rubber gloves and I just rub the edges all the way around and make sure I get in all the cracks and everything, because you want it to be sealed. Now, if you use something on straight porous wood, say you're going to clear coat oak or maple or anything like that, you want to use three different seal coats. So once you do 3 seal coats, you can do your flood coat, and everything should be sealed well enough to where you don't have bubbles. If you have to sand in between there a little bit, go ahead and sand it a little bit. If you wait after, say, 12 hours, you want to make sure to sand the surface down before you pour another coat on it, any coat. So, I poured a seal coat, sanded it down. I took steel wool on the edges because, I chiseled the edges, and you can't just sand it with sandpaper. It's not going to get in those. And I had to be careful not to go too deep into the paint because you just have a light seal coat on there. So I took steel wool, ran it all the way around, and just kind of roughed it up to where this flood coat's going to stick to it. We're ready to go ahead and do our pour, but I want to cover some of these products and things that I use to get to this point. At first, you know how I had this notched out, and we did our pour, the metallic pour down the center here. I sprayed some Rust-Oleum paint in the grooves all around here, just so the wood wouldn't bleed through. I could have painted it with black in there before I started. That could have easily been done. I rolled on my coat of Valspar paint just to seal it, and that was paint and primer in one. It's a latex base. I used a roller. I didn't show that in the video, but it's simple. All you do is take a roller and roll it on. I don't have to show you anything on that. Came back with this marble effect. I'll have this in the link in the description box. I sprayed the marble effect around. Once I hit it all around with that, came back and misted it with this metallic black stainless color. This is made by Krylon. I use acetone to clean my hands and stuff, and I use shop towels to do that with. This, you can get any level you want. This is made by Swanson. This is a great little level because I can slap it right on my toolbox. It has magnets on it, and I drop it on here. I have a light on it, and I can just set it in position all around, make sure I'm level. I shim this up to make sure that it's all level, because when you do your pour, you want this to go on completely flat and level. If you don't have it level, it's going to run off of one side, so make sure you do that. This stuff is self-leveling, and it's going to find its own level point to follow the floor, whatever the floor is. Alright, get this out the way. I'm using a drill with my mixer, and these are great little mixers for this. I use it for paints and things like this because it doesn't spew it all over the place. It keeps it contained if you're careful with it. We're going to use a mixer with this because it's a lot easier, and you make sure that you mix it up well. You're going to make bubbles with this. It's no big deal. These bubbles come right out. You just come back and work it with a torch. I'll show you that. You also can work it with a heat gun, which is a little bit more forgiving. I'm using 24 ounces for this because for your flood coat, you want 3 ounces per square foot. What I did was I put these close to in front of my space heaters, and I just kind of warmed it up a little bit to where it pours a little better, because when this resin sits in the cold, it's going to really get it's going to be hard to pour. It's real thick stuff. That's what I like about it. It's thick, it goes on thick, and it gives you a lot of working time. So if I want to mix colors in here as I go, I can do that, and we're going to show a lot of that in the future. But right now I want to show you a simple pour. I'm going to take my resin first. That's my hardener. I'm going to wait on that one. Put my resin in here first, and I want 12 ounces of each. You want to make sure you pour this exact. You don't want to have 13 ounces of one and 11 of the other, because it is not going to dry properly. You want this to be 50-50 for this epoxy. And you see how thick it is? It's like molasses. You're going to get it kind of close and then just back off, because it's going to raise up in there for a minute, and then it's going to pile up because it's thick, and then it's going to level down. When it levels down, you're going to get a rise in it. All right, I'm at 8 ounces right now. I need to go to 12. I'll go to 24 with this, and this is thinner. The hardener pours pretty fast. I like to get my epoxy in first, come back with my hardener, because I can top it off easily. I'm not cranking it up all the way, I'm just mixing it. I just go by and mix it part the way. You can put it on low speed to do that if you want. And just go all the way around, just low speed. Make sure you mix it properly. Go up and down. I'll even take this in reverse so the fins go backwards and spin it in there. And because, like I said, that is the most important part of this. Getting the mixture right and getting it mixed right. Taking a little, this is a half decent little throwaway brush, but make sure you don't have any bristles that are coming out of it. If they do, they're going to come out in your epoxy. You just got to pick them out. And that's not that hard anyway if you don't have one that's dropping bristles everywhere. If it drops a couple bristles, so be it. I'll fetch them out. Alright, we're going to take this and load it up in a minute, but first I'm going to go ahead and make my pour. Get a good bit down. You can see it's pretty clear, not a lot of bubbles in it. It's going to be easy to work with. And look at the gloss that comes back and the depth that comes already. I'm just going to take it, trowel it all the way around. I'll load up my brush in there. Leave just a tiny bit in here just to work with. So let me get this brush on the side. Get this and trowel it. I'm putting this on an angle so I can just drag it, and you see the lines, it's dragging it, but I'm not scratching my surface. I don't want to go like this. I want to go on an angle so I can feed it around where I need it, get it close to the edges, and then we'll come back after and work with it. We're going to chop it in just a minute. Like I said, it's a little cool in here. That's why I'm not going to chop it yet. Normally I would already start hitting it with the brush, but I found it to be kind of thick because it's still kind of cool in here. It's probably about 60 degrees in here. I'd like it to be 70, so I have my heaters on, so we'll get it up a little bit. A piece of dust, just take it out. If you see dust in there, take it out. Make sure I cover my sides well. I'll show you the other part. I'll use a torch on that. And the torch works great. I use a torch just about every job. I'll come back and use this as well now because Mike turned me on to it. I've used torches for years, but he's taught me some new tricks. And I say years. I do this every once in a while. I would do an epoxy job. I didn't do them every day for years. But now I will be doing it a lot more since I'm messing with this Stone Coat product. I really like. This is just propane, but I can use acetylene gas as well. The propane I use for my heaters, and I have a lot of these tanks. And this is my Benzomatic automatic trigger on here. So this thing really, I use it for plumbing all the time, and it comes in handy for a lot of things. But it just knocks these bubbles right out. We'll let it sit for a minute. Take my brush, wipe it all around, and just come back over, do the same thing until it comes out perfect. And you'll rub your finger underneath, just underneath here. I'll drag my finger along as I go to keep those runs off the bottom. You can put tape across the bottom if you want to keep this from happening. I plucked a little piece of dust out, and I just push it back with the heat gun, and it pushes the material back in place. If it doesn't close up all the way, I'll get a drip. Drop a little drip right on here. I see I didn't get it all the way, so I'll take it right here. Whatever drips gets around the other, I'm not worried about it. It's going to self-level. If too much is on there, it's going to self-level and push off the sides. If not enough is on there, you might see a little dip in there, a divot. So you want to make sure that you cover that over. Look it back outside, it's dry. And I sanded the drips off the back side of this. I used 40 grit sandpaper on my sander to do it, just knock the tips off. I come back over with Rust-Oleum Undercoating. This is some pretty good stuff. All I'm doing is spraying it across the bottom just to protect it and make it all one color. It's black. You could do this on any other color, it doesn't matter. When I spray, I'm spraying away from my table because I don't want to get overspray on this. So I'm spraying it away from that. Once I get all that, then I cover it over on the center. I have one coat on there, and then now I'm going back with my second coat. You shake it up good. You spray it to the end, and then you come back and hit it. But I want to spray all the way around on my ends real good before I start the center. And I don't want to spray, like I said, toward this because I don't want it on the face. I brought it back inside. It's a nice dry day. It's probably 75 degrees. Feels great. So this dried real fast. I'm going to go ahead and slap these legs on. I bought these on Amazon. They're pretty darn solid. They have rubber feet on them at the bottom, rubber pads, and they look really great. So I'm going to put these on, and if you decide to make a table yourself, these legs are a great option. They have some different designs. I haven't messed with any of the other ones yet, so I can't vouch for them. I'm sure I will be buying other ones because I'm really happy with these. Make sure your screws don't go all the way through this. Mine aren't because these are 1.5 inch screws, and I have this steel plate which is probably 3/16 of an inch thick. It's pretty thick. And then I have an 1.5 inches plus the coating that's on here. So I've got room. I'm not going to splinter through the top of this. Just make sure if you have too long of screws, get the right size screw for what you're doing. These come with it. Well, this is done and it came out really cool. I want to explain a couple of things about this. One thing I do when I pour this is I put down visqueen. Epoxy will not stick to the visqueen. And if you have it all around, it drips on there and you can just peel it right off and use another project on top of the visqueen. So it's really, that's the best way to use it from what I see. All right, now that this is all poured, it came out really cool. I'm happy with it. If you look at this up close, you see little veins all over in this. It's a metallic look when you're looking up close with the light, and you see little black veins all over. If you look at this on different angles, it looks black. Or if the light's not hitting directly on it, it looks black with the silver in the middle. Really cool stuff. I'm happy with it. I want to thank Mike and Catherine Quist for turning me on to Stone Coat products. These are fantastic. I'm really happy with them. I'll have a lot more projects coming up. Working on them now. I'll see you guys on the next project. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out paulstoolbox.com for all my archive videos and information on Stone Coat products. And I'll see you guys later.